All right, let me ask you about a few national issues that play out through state politics as well. One is energy. We keep being told by so many sources, including the federal Labor government, that renewable energy is the cheapest form of energy, yet your state has the highest penetration of renewable energy and has the highest electricity prices in the national grid. Surely that's a warning to the rest of the country.
Well, you're right, Chris. We have pursued aggressively as a state renewable energy. We see it as being the future of energy around the world, certainly in Australia and definitely here in South Australia. We don't have the large coal reserves. In fact, we don't have coal reserves really in South Australia at all in comparison to New South Wales or Queensland. So we've got to use the resources that are available to us. Gas is still an important component of the South Australian electricity system, but we're very proud of the fact that 64% of all of the energy produced in South Australia is renewable. And in fact, more than that, Chris, we're leaning in on it with our pursuit of building a hydrogen electrolyser and power plant, which will be the world's largest. Now, in terms of price, I think it depends on when you look and how you look at it. There are various analyses around the country, and then there are instances where South Australia is leading the rest of the country. But the simple fact is this, the transition is on away from decarbonised energy. It needs to be done in a thoughtful way. It can't be done recklessly. And we certainly have the view that gas has a transition to play. But ultimately, the objective is to decarbonise our energy supply as a country, which is good for industry and good for jobs in the long term.
One of your Labor predecessors, Jay Weatherill, bravely looked at nuclear. He conducted a Royal Commission, the Scarce Royal Commission. It found that South Australia could make a lot of money out of nuclear waste, and there was also potential for nuclear energy. Will you consider reopening that investigation and going down that path at any time?
Well, Chris, I'm on the record and have been for some time, well before I went into Parliament, that I actually think nuclear power does have a role to play, because the simple fact is it's a baseload source of energy that is decarbonised, virtually no carbon emissions. So it should be a technology that's on the table globally in our effort to decarbonise. The question in an Australian context, and particularly a South Australian context, is it economic? Can the capital cost, which is very, very substantial, in fact, nuclear power stations are the most expensive form of power to build in a capital sense. Can that ever be done in such a way as economic? And what the Scarce Royal Commission found at that time was that it's not economic, particularly in a South Australian context. Now, if you look at where nuclear power around the world works, Chris, of course, it's in major population bases that have many multiples the population of South Australia, in fact, even the whole of the country, and where there is a massive industrial demand for the energy. That tends to be the circumstances where the economic stacks up. Whereas in South Australia, we have got a very, very relatively small population base globally, with one of the largest areas to transmit energy around. So it doesn't work in a South Australian context. Naturally, we have to contemplate technological changes in the future. But at the moment, our energy and our capital as a state is being invested in the hydrogen opportunity that we believe in deeply.